Okay, everyone. Let's go ahead and start our Human Resources meeting today. It's July 20th, 2023. The time is 10:10 a.m., and I want to call this meeting to order. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go into our first item, which is higher duty pay request from the Sheriff's Office Jail.
Captain Jeremy Howell for the record. On June 1st, our jail purchasing agent went out on an FMLA event, and we've had... Can you hear me now?
What is that event?
What's that?
What is that?
FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act.
Yeah.
Okay, you said it so fast.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the FMLA event. Well, I didn't have the speaker on either. We've had a custody technician step up and fill that role until the purchasing agent comes back, and it's been more than 30 days, so we're just asking to increase her pay from $17.94 an hour to $18.60 an hour in accordance with county policy until it ends.
Any questions? No? Motion?
I move that we approve the higher duty pay request by the Sheriff's Office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye. Okay, next item is bonus payment request from Information Technology. Grant?
Thank you, Commissioners. Grant Kinsey, Network Administrator. What this is, hopefully, is just a little formality. We have positions out at the Sheriff's Department, our PC technicians, that we've been trying to hire for years, and we were approved to give a hiring bonus of $1,000 upon passing the background check and accepting the position. And we did that with a prior employee, and then we had one more position to fill, and we're filling that now. And I believe the difference is just that it's a different employee code, because some of these employees are paid with some 911 funds, some of them aren't. And I think we just need to reaffirm that it's okay to do the same hiring bonus for this individual that was just hired.
Okay. Any questions? No? I see it's budget neutral, so I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the bonus payment request by IT for the jail.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye. Okay, next item, bonus payments request for the public defender, Ann Taylor.
We actually have 4 things before the board this morning.
Yes, did you want to just go in the sequence we have on the meeting here, or?
I'm happy to start with the bonus payments.
Okay.
As the commission knows, our office has operated at a skeleton crew all of this year, and that means that we've had people that have worked their tails off to keep things afloat. We are asking that we be allowed to give bonuses to everybody in the department. In our memo, we've broken down supervisors, attorneys, and staff that have been employed more than 6 months, and then a lower rate for those that have been employed under 6 months. This request includes our intern. That intern is somebody we'll talk about in one of the other memos that we sent. This is a person that's a regular position, funded all year, not one of the temporary interns that we sought and received funding for in the past. This is the permanent position. That's a person who's going to transition into an attorney position after next week, after he takes the bar. So it's our request. It's because of the amount of work that everybody's done in our department, with us being so shorthanded for the entire year.
What percentage of your office is vacant, roughly?
I have 11 attorney positions open right now. One will be filled by the intern, who will then vacate the intern position. And then there's one other attorney that accepted an offer and should start in August as well.
So probably around, what, 20%?
I think that would be about 30% of the attorney staff, and we have had assistants vacant. We've been able to promote from within, but now we have secretaries' positions vacant, and those are some we'll talk about as well.
But the workload remains, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions?
I don't know. my inclination is to say sure, but it seems like every time I turn around, you guys want more money. Is that just not true?
Well, I certainly wouldn't come in here and say you're wrong, but I would say I don't come in here very often. I'm not somebody who's a frequent flyer in the HR meetings asking for things. I think the last time I was here was to convert the positions, the intern positions, and it came from vacancies that existed to try to utilize law students in hopes that we would build relationships and maybe fill permanent vacancies, or not permanent, but some that have been vacant a long time in the future. I did ask for some adjustments in pay for people. Not too long ago, there were just a very select few, so that the level of work they were performing was paid for versus being at a same rate of pay for people who weren't doing the same level of work, and that affected maybe 4 people in the office. So I have been in here asking for things, but I do try to abide by the commissioner's directive to not do it outside of budget year.
And is what you're asking already included in the budget? And that would be all.
I don't believe I was allowed to put a line item for bonuses in the budget last year during the last budget year. I don't believe that was something that happened.
So how much additional would this cost the county?
Let me look at I think we should have.
She's got it right at the tip of her tongue.
I didn't want to interrupt. So the projection that our staff accountant did is it would be 78,000 from county funded salary savings and 19,000 from core grant funded salary savings.
Yeah, so it's
That's
not,
just for this one item. Is that true? This one item?
Yes.
I would remind the commissioners that there have been monies brought in by work that I do and work that Jay Logston does that should be put back into public defense. Those are payments brought in from Nez Perce County and Latah County.
those are the amounts
Right.
for each position. I think part of the issue is the fact that people are hired with an expectation of a workload, and as positions remain vacant or become vacant, that workload has to be dispersed with those who remain. And consequently, from a budgetary standpoint, we're getting a salary savings because these positions are empty. And since we have that salary savings, and please correct me, Ms. Taylor, if I'm not correct, that the workload was dispersed to those who remain, and as a way of showing some form of appreciation, you want to offer them a bonus that comes out of the existing budget, but it is neutral. It doesn't go past the original budget from FY23.
I would not claim to be a pro at the auditor's office, so I won't comment on that. What I will say is that we have dispersed the work to the attorneys.
Yeah.
I know this commission is aware that in our annual reporting with the Public Defense Commission that most of our attorneys are over their caseload. I can't possibly reduce all of that workload and give it to conflict lawyers.
Sure.
There's not enough conflict lawyers to go around. So we have absorbed a lot of work. And it is a recognition and a thank you for doing more work than you really should be doing.
Yeah, and it's budget neutral according, right, so.
She doesn't list the salary savings.
So the 78,000 that comes from county funds would come from the 170,000 that they have in salary savings. The 19,000 in bonuses that comes from grant funds comes from, they have over 500,000 remaining right now that they have not spent in grant funds.
Yeah, so,
Okay, I mean, would be okay with me as long as the next 2 or 3 or 4 don't blow that away.
well, we'll deal with this issue first and deal with the next ones after that.
Okay,
Do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I would move that we approve the public defender's request for bonus payments.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye. Okay, next up is a step increase request with the public defender. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think this step request that we're talking about has to do with two individuals that had been increased in step at the end of 2020. These two individuals took on more responsibility at that time. They are legal assistants. Somewhere when our pay plans changed in the matrix, they ended up with years of service and without their extra step. I understand that my department's not the only one that this has happened with. I didn't catch it until this year. So I'm asking that each of these two individuals be moved up a step now and then still be eligible for any step that happens in the upcoming budget year. That's to reflect the additional amount of work these two legal assistants do. Further, I'm requesting that they receive the step pay where they should have been for the entire budget year since October 1st of 2022, or October 7th, I think it was.
Any questions?
Is that the way you see it?
HR did meet with Ann and Jan to discuss the requests, and we did find paperwork back in, it was November of 2020, where they had been given additional pay for the additional duties. And we don't have a system that can track these, so then when we implement a system and say it's gonna be based on their time in position or whatever, it doesn't calculate that, so her request is legitimate.
It was approved, that basically.
Was approved back
Okay.
in 2020,
Okay.
yes.
Motion?
I move that we approve the step increase request by the public defender.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye. Okay, next up is a parity increase request with the public defender. Now, we have two of those, so which one do you want to start with first here?
Let's start with the secretary, simply because that's on the top of my stack here. In this request, we are currently paying our secretaries, and that's the lowest or the least level position that we have. And there are people that greet people at the front desk. They answer the phones. We have 3 phone lines that ring almost nonstop. They help shuffle paperwork. They're the front face. We've been offering pay at $16.42. We like to do that. We like to bring people in and get them trained on our systems and our confidentiality issues, and then we like to promote from within.
Say 1642,
$16.42 an hour. That's
where
what
McDonald's is paying 17.
I've heard that.
No, it's
I've heard
true.
that. Yeah.
I applaud.
I'd like to increase that starting range to 17.15. I think that's going to be within policy to do that. The issue with that is that I have one person who's going to remain at that 16.42, and I've hired another person that's starting Monday at the 16.42. So while I'd like permission to list that job, I have more of those that are vacant for $17.15, just slightly higher than McDonald's. I'd like to bring the existing employee up and the one I hire that starts on Monday up to $17.15 an hour.
I'll say, does that make sense to you guys?
It falls within comp policy 120 because Ann could hire up to 97% of market, and that's below that, but she has existing staff. If she brings somebody new in at that higher level, there's a parity issue that would need to be addressed.
Okay.
So let me just make sure I understand this, that you want to advertise for 17.15, is that correct?
I do, yeah,
Okay. For a vacant position?
yes.
Okay. And you're not getting, I mean, I understand why, I'm just asking here, but you're not getting good candidates or enough quality candidates at the 16.42.
For the position that we filled for Monday,
Yeah.
there were a total of 3 applicants. And thankfully, the person starting is very qualified to take on this work and willing to come in. But because I need to attract more to fill other vacancies, I don't want her to start and the person who started a couple of months ago to look at the new ad and say, why am I not worth the same as a person you haven't met yet?
I understand. And do they do a background check for these positions?
Do we do one? We do vetting of them internally. We don't send them out to be vetted, but we
Yeah.
do them internally.
Okay. Okay. My only concern, albeit this is very small, is the fact that we don't want job ads to drive wages for inside the office. But I understand in the sense that you can't get qualified people, and we're just talking about a couple of positions. So I don't want to start a trend here where people see, okay, let's increase the dollar amount in the ad, and then make, before we fill the position, use that to drive everyone else's.
I think
Pay rate.
has been some of that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's my only concern, is there's been some of that use of parity.
Yeah.
The first thing we heard was all about compression, and then we fixed compression, and then it became parity. It was kind of the magic button to get money out of the county, so.
I would say that the reason I've brought this forward and the next request as I have is so that you see what I'm asking. So I don't just start advertising at a higher wage and then saying, now come and fix it. I'm asking permission for a wage that I think I could do on my own, but I'm here asking for permission to do it because I only want to do it if we can address this. So I'm not trying to drive wages up. I'm trying to solve problems, but prevent other problems from arising. But I see what you're saying.
That's right, and I totally understand your position, so, and I sympathize with it. Let me ask you this. If you were to advertise the higher wage, and that worked, because we don't even know if that might be high enough, right?
Yeah.
If that worked, could we revisit bringing the other staff up at that point, once you find someone to fill that position?
I will do it any way you guys direct me to.
Yeah.
My concern with that is if my existing employees see that and they feel disgruntled. I can't lose anybody. And to tell them, once we find somebody who will take the job for that, then I'll raise you, I think is going to feel really negative to them, and I don't want to do that to them.
Thoughts?
Well, I can understand what Ann's saying, I really do. I guess I'd be in favor of this, but I just really feel like I want to talk about parity very, very carefully, because it's become the golden word, not just in your department, but in other departments, for kicking up people's pay.
Does HR have any questions or concerns on this? No? Okay.
Boy, you're agreeable today.
A motion?
I move that we approve the parity increase request by the public defender.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye. Okay. Final item.
My final item has to do with a starting wage increase and parity, much like the last, but this time for attorneys. I am currently offering for brand new attorneys $75,254.40 per year. That I was really encouraged last year when the wages were raised by this commission, and I was anticipating I would fill vacancies, and I haven't. As we talked about earlier, I have 11 vacancies. One I know for sure is filling, the other one I anticipate filling. That'll still leave me with 9 attorney positions vacant. I would like permission to begin advertising and requesting or allowing the wage of $78,644. If I do that, and I did meet with HR, I have the positions listed in the memo, that it does create a parity issue with where they're plotted in the pay scale and their time in position. So I would request that I be allowed to move those positions up, and this is, I mean, we went just as tiny as we could, knowing that there's a possibility that more will happen in the budget year. But to make this make sense, so I don't have somebody who's worked in our office for 2 years training a new attorney making exactly the same wage. This is the minimum I would need to move up to allow me to start people at a higher wage and hopefully get a couple more people in to disperse the work out.
I have some questions on that, just because we're talking about a lot more people and a lot more money. There's two attorney positions you're expecting to fill? Because when I read your memo, and so have they been hired, or are you planning on offering them jobs?
One person is our intern. I've offered and he's accepted. I just need to do the status change form. He sits for the bar next week.
Okay.
So he's a for sure. The other person was offered and accepted, and I'm anticipating that he move here and start. So that happened a couple of months ago, actually probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I think we put that hire through. The other positions, that still will leave us with 9. We have advertised, we've worked with HR to try to get attention to our job. We've done a video to try to gain attention for the openings and the vacancies that we have. I've had 7 applicants in probably the last 6 months that I've offered. I've had other applicants that for one reason or another we couldn't go forward with. And all 7 of those have turned down the job. 5, I believe, based on the wage versus cost of living here. 2 for other reasons.
Now, for FY24, we're making a fairly significant adjustment to wages and getting the steps corrected and things like that. Is that something that with the FY24 adjustments, does that not help you?
I don't know, because I don't know what the FY24 adjustments are. What I want to make sure I don't do is start advertising new positions for a wage that's the same as the people that have been there for a couple of years and that will be mentoring and helping them learn the ropes. I don't know where wages will be plotted. I asked for this because I'd really like to start advertising. As you know, the bar exam is next week, and maybe there are people that have not secured positions that will begin looking right after the bar exam. I just don't know what will end up happening with our budget.
Yeah. I would propose that that perhaps HR give you the numbers for what to expect for if HR is the one, or I believe, for FY24 and see where that comes in. Because the idea was to get everyone in the correct slots within the matrix and adjust it accordingly to much more of a market rate for those positions. And that would allow you to advertise for it, 1. And then 2, my only other concern is that it creates a parity issue with the prosecutor's office. Because now we're making an adjustment on your side. Now, that might be a trigger on the prosecutor's side. And so I realize your situation and your plight, but there are consequences to entertaining your request without us thinking about the other components to it. So, and the same would hold true for the previous item as well, because your folks will, I think, benefit from the FY24 adjustments that we put into the budget. Is that something that you could do? And then if it doesn't work, we can certainly revisit it.
With the secretary position, both of the one starting Monday and the one that's only been there a few months, I think that we'd still need to bump them up to that starting wage. But with the attorney position, I'm more than happy to put this on hold and meet with HR and talk about where these positions would be plotted and take a look at that. I can meet with HR sometime prior to the next HR meeting.
Yeah.
And if necessary, then bring it forward with that additional information. I'd be happy to do that.
Look, I totally sympathize with your situation, and I don't want to put roadblocks up, but I kind of feel like the timing of your request with the FY24 coming into play, that, you know, we may end up doing a double bump when all we needed was just the FY24, you know, kind of realignment with the pay, and that would get you to where you need to be.
Happy to take a look at that and bring this back if necessary.
Okay. All right. Darren, do we need a motion on that? No? Okay, so
How about an
that's,
opinion?
you know, I am so sorry. Commissioner Brooks, please. I'm
I
so
agree
sorry.
with you completely.
Thank you.
I do believe that we should wait till we get the amount for the new, because if it were 6 months away, that's one thing. But it's a few weeks away, if that much, and we can address it at that time.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you, and please accept my apologies there. So,
I want to apologize to everybody for being late. I was in Hayden with Sheriff Norris and the mayor of Hayden. And the traffic being what it is, it's just getting silly. But I think I have a solution for our overcrowding in Kootenai County. Don't build any more roads, don't fix any more roads, and people will finally go, I don't want to go there.
we'll save that for another meeting.
Okay.
Public comment? Do we have anyone on the phone? Jonathan?
16 people online, no comments.
Okay. Public comment here? Okay. 10:36, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.